Good morning. This is the Saturday morning interview. My name is Geoffrey Onditi. Social and political participation recognizes the involvement of young men and women in participatory decision-making and development processes as vital to achieving sustainable human development. This is according to Steve Mbogo, a youth who is already a leader at the university level where he is undertaking his second degree. Apart from that, Steve Mbogo has been mentored by a former American presidential candidate, Ben Carson, who he says is his personal friend. Today on the Saturday morning interview, we'll focus on youth empowerment in Kenya, and I'm speaking with Steve Mbogo, who wants to change the lives of young people socially, economically, and politically. He, however, says this will be easier for him if he gets a political position. So, what do you think? How should Kenyan youth be empowered by the county and national governments? You can share your comments on our KBC English Service Facebook fan page. Welcome to the studio, Steve Mbogo.
Thank you very much.
Steve Mbogo, first of all, I want to know, who is Steve Mbogo?
Thank you, Onditi. Steve Mbogo is a youthful businessman, also a youthful leader. Currently, I'm the patron of Kenya University Student Organization, an organization that is entitled to promote, protect, and enrich the lives of university students. Having in mind, I'm patronizing more than 3 million students in this country.
Are you a student?
Yeah, I'm doing my second degree at the moment.
Which was your first degree?
Bachelor of Commerce.
And currently?
Currently, I'm specializing Bachelor of Commerce, but in accounts.
I know you have a unique story, and I'd like you to give me your background from the young age up to now, being a youth.
Steve Mbogo was born in a humble family. Personally, I was born in Kitale, that is Trans Nzoia district.
The western region of
Kenya. Yeah, the western
Kenya.
Region of Kenya. They call it Ingo area. Yeah, we grew up there.
Yes.
Having that background of a humble family, that is what amplified my desire for change and growth. By the time I was in high school, being raised by a single mother, it reached a time my mother could not afford my school fees, and I had to stay out of school. That pushed me to go into business at a very early age. I started engaging into scrap business here in Nairobi. At that time, I used to live at Bahati. Luckily, God willing, and with my passion and desire for change, my business grew. I cleared my high school, went into university, and grew into a global businessman. And I believe any person, any young person in this country, given the right direction, they can be who they are. Because you're told a human being is a product of their imagination.
You started from very low,
yes,
and you grew.
Yes.
Tell me about that story. How did you grow? Because it's very difficult for young people here in Kenya to grow that way as you grew.
Tell you one thing to begin with, growth is a process. And it's gradual. And growth is catalyzed by what we call your goal or ambition in life. You can never grow if you don't have an ambition. I've always been an over-ambitious young person ever since. I've had this dream to grow and, fight poverty, being my biggest fear. Having gone through it, having experienced the ability to even lack food, that has been my greatest fear. I started my life with a gear to make it. And I'm always very positive, because knowing that a human being is a product of his imagination, I've always been very positive, and I believe that is what brought me to who I am today. To relationship, the way you communicate to people, the way you communicate and stay with the people, because I believe no one is an island and no one can stand alone. The people who help me in life are the people I never expected, not family members, not even friends, but even strangers. And I believe if you can communicate well to people, if you can respect people and have proper relationship with anybody, regardless any caliber. When I was engaging in scrap business, yes, my partners were the street kids. People call them chokoras. But chokoras built me, It is through my relationship with them, I uplifted most of them and their lifestyle, and I also got uplifted. I saw an opportunity. In life also, I believe in being an opportunist, and by grabbing an opportunity. So I saw an opportunity where I used to see street kids collecting scrap metals, from the ground within Eastlands area, and they will carry the whole bulk all the way to industrial area for them to sell. And I thought of, why shouldn't I be a middleman? Because this is a young guy, 15 years old, carrying, let's say, 50 kilos of metal on his back every day. One, his health is deteriorating. Two, it's not healthy for him. So what I did, I created a I became the middleman between the buyers, who are mostly the Indians, the Asians, and the chokoras. I created a point of sale where all these street kids will drop the metals, the scrap metals, and every Friday, the investors, or rather the Asians who are buying scrap metal, will come and collect. I started with a small quantity of 100 kgs. After 1-2 months, I used to do up to 10 tons. every Friday. So I believe it is what you want in life that takes you to that stage.
They changed your life.
Yeah, they
Yes.
changed my life, and their lives also changed.
How
Because
did you change their lives?
yeah, I personally started a circle for them, whereby now they will not even go and collect, but collect from other street children from other areas within Eastlands. And you find that making the work easier for them, having the ability to bring the point of sale closer to them, enhanced their collection capacity. Because the time they used to carry the goods from Eastlands to industrial area, they used now that time to get more product. And they used to get paid on time. And actually, I paid them a little bit more. Their life enhanced. I know so many of them right now who have big businesses. I know some of them who've employed more than 50, 60 people. I know one who currently now he's opened up a very big scrap company in Tanzania.
Maybe you can give us an example of one person or a street child who grew through your effort.
Yeah, there's one called John Maina. Currently, he's also into scrap business. He's got a shop on Jogo Road. He's employed more than 60 young people who collect for him. And we're still friends till today.
Yes.
Because I believe growth also comes with a proper structure or system. At that time, we created a mini system for us. Through my exposure, I managed to move to other business ventures, but till today, I treasure and believe that is what built me who I am today.
Now, you mentioned something very important when we began the interview. You have to have a gear to make it.
Yes.
I want you to explain more about that statement.
I'll tell you evidently that in life, nothing is easy and nothing big comes easy. You need to have that extra drive, that zeal, that zest, that temerity to make it, because I believe anyone can reach any level they want to if they believe in themselves. You have to engage that gear and push yourself beyond your even personal recognition. We believe, and I personally believe also, that it is us who limit our thinking. It is us who limit our vision. It is us who decide what we want to be. And for you to be who you want to be, especially having a big goal, then you have to put your gear or, put it a notch higher.
You mentioned also that you have to be an opportunist at a given point.
Yes.
But young people sometimes are discouraged from being opportunists. So why do you want people to be opportunists?
No, I'll tell you one thing about life, especially in business. Opportunities in businesses don't come easy. And it's high time people should learn that at any time there's an opportunity. At any time, life and business and growth at times is like a pendulum. It moves side by side. You should ensure that when the pendulum moves, you fill that gap, because there's a vacuum. It's all about filling that vacuum and grabbing the opportunity. Most of the people we know, the great stories of people who've grown, the Richard Bransons, go back to the 5 men who built America, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilt, the JP Morgans, the likes of Rockefeller. These are people who saw opportunities. Someone like Rockefeller saw an opportunity in oil. Vanderbilt saw an opportunity in banking. Carnegie saw an opportunity in transport and steel. Someone like Henry Ford saw an opportunity in the creation of a vehicle. JP Morgan saw an opportunity in electricity.
Yes.
And that is the life and the system they created today. So I learned from such great people.
We have to take chances in the opportunities that we get. But have Kenyan youth or the Kenyan young people, have they been given those opportunities, especially by the national government or even the county governments that are there today?
You'll agree with me that when you talk of the youth, and that is one of my passion to bring change amongst the youth of Kenya belong nowhere, be it socially, be it politically, be it economically. When you hear of all these international forums called at KICC and anywhere, I've never seen a youth being called there. When you hear of social programs, international programs, I've never seen youth being involved there. When you talk of politics, youthful politicians like us are being fought left, right, center, because they all in the society believe politics belongs to them.
And because the youth are leaders of tomorrow.
Yes, we are leaders of tomorrow. But I want to send a message and tell them that the present is past and the future is now. And they say, ne kama si sasa ni sasa hivi. Because I'll be very open and tell you that the youth of this country lack two things. One is direction. They don't have proper role models or leaders to show them the right direction on what to do. The system tells the youth go to school. Then after school, how many youth do we know who've got degrees and masters and they're out here gone into border businesses? How many youth have we seen on placards on the road being jobless and going to an extent of raising a placard and saying, please employ me, I have a master's in MBA, I have an engineering degree, I have a doctorate degree. So that means they lack direction. Number two is a sense of belonging. Youth lack sense of belonging. And I started by saying they belong nowhere socially, they belong nowhere politically, they belong nowhere even economically. So given that chance, I want to create a system. First, to start with Stare, I have an ultimate goal.
Yes.
And my goal is presidency. And I know one day I'll be the president of the Republic of Kenya. I'm very sure. Because presidency and leadership begins from the top. If you have the right leader at the top, then the right leadership will be streamlined and it will cascade down to the roots.
Meanwhile, how do we make these young people feel that they belong somewhere?
The problem is the structures. I'll give you an example. Look at 2013, the Jubilee Manifesto. They talked of Uwezo Fund. Now, look at the performance of Uwezo Fund till today. Ask yourself how many youth have accessed the Uwezo Fund. How effective has the Uwezo Fund been to upgrade and enhance the lives of these young people? How has Uwezo Fund enriched? You find that 90% of Uwezo Fund has not worked. Why? Because of poor structures. You find that the money is given to them, and I believe it's not just about the government giving the youth money. For me, I call it a PR stunt. That was basically a PR strategy for Jubilee government to take power, but it is not effective. The structure is very poor. I would recommend the system like Vijana na Kazi during the Kibaki's time. At least we saw the little fruits from it.
What was the difference?
Now, the difference came in the structure. You find that the distribution of the funds, the distribution of funds came with education. When we talk of Vijana na Kazi. When we talk of Uwezo Fund, it's just giving people money without directing them what to do with the money. So you find that the few young people in the society who know how to register a company, who know how to register an organization, who know how to write a proposal, have the ability to get the funds. Look at Stare constituency. Most of my residential areas are slums, ghettos. Most of the people there, don't have proper education. They might not have the capacity to do a proper proposal. One of the criteria of Uwezo Fund, you need to have a registered company. In Kenya, to have a registered company, a limited company, you need at least 30,000 shillings. Now, let me ask you, Onditi, where are those young people in the ghetto going to get 30,000 to register a company? Who is going to guide them and show them how to register a company? Who's going to assist them in writing the proposal so that they can access the fund? So you find that the Uwezo Fund is there, but not effective. To the common mwananchi, it belongs to a certain group, only to those who know how to go about it. If we create proper structures, I'm personally very, very involved in empowerment program. Currently, I started a program called Boiler Room, which airs in another television station, and I saw that there's a problem the youth undergoing. There's so many ideas that are out there in the market. There's so many people who have the brains to build up businesses, but they lack the funds. So I started a program where we finance business ideas and take part percentage of the company. I said I cannot give people loans and yet we don't direct them how to run the businesses.
This is the Saturday morning interview. Our guest today is Steve Mbogo, a young leader and entrepreneur who passionately empowers young people economically, socially and politically. He also has political ambitions. So what do you think? How should Kenyan youth be empowered by the county and national governments? You can share your comments on our KBC English Service Facebook fan page. We know there are people who have a responsibility to empower young people. For example, we have the national government and the county governments, as I said earlier. Going forward, how should these young people be empowered, leave alone the Uwezo Fund that we've talked about?
I'll go back to my argument, and that is structure. It entails the government coming up with a proper structure. One, a structure that will have a touch with its people. You find that the government structure, for example, with the Uwezo Fund, is put very far from the reach of a common mwananchi. These programs should come down to the ground. Ensure that these programs are even brought to ward levels, where a young person in Mukuru does not need to go to Nyayo House or whatever organization to go and find out how these programs are applied. We find structures where these officers are brought down to the ward level to have a one-on-one engagement with these young people. Two, provision of education and information. As we all know, information is paramount and information is power. Provide information to these kids so that they understand what the empowerment program entails. They understand what opportunities. Because I'll tell you, 70% of Kenyan youth don't know about Uwezo Fund. And they're not interested simply because they lack the information. information. Number two, we have this law enshrined in the Constitution about the 30% allocation of tenders to the youth, women, and disabled. Very few youth, very few women, very few disabled. Almost 80% don't know about the accessibility of these tenders.
Talking about information, we know that this is an era of technology. For example, we have the social media. How can the youth lack information about such funds? How is it possible?
I'll tell you, look at this current government. The information we get is the current government will give us PR stunts on what it's done. But I've never seen the government send messages or tweet messages to tell the youth that they should apply for tenders. Tell the youth that it is their right enshrined in the Constitution, they should get 30% allocation of tenders. I've never seen the government send messages, tweet or put on Facebook advertising that the youth should come and take the Uwezo Money Fund. So there's lack of communication.
Lack of communication.
So the government should come up with structures. And this one specifically goes to the national government, because my cry is not only for the youth of Starehe. My cry is for Kenya at large. A youth affected in Kisumu is same as a youth affected in Starehe constituency. Yes.
Let's focus on Starehe, because you've mentioned about Starehe, and we know you want to be the member of parliament for Starehe constituency here in Nairobi, and you're up against a veteran politician, that is Maina Kamanda. But first of all, what are you going to do for these people, or for that old woman, for example, who resides in Starehe constituency here in Nairobi?
I'll categorize all that into 3 points.
Yes.
Number one is proper representation. Given an opportunity, I'll have the ability to represent my people well in parliament and also in the business community. You find that one of the largest tasks I have and the biggest problem the people of Starehe undergo is unemployment. 60 to 70% of the youth in Starehe are unemployed. And that is very funny, bearing in mind that Starehe constituency holds the hub of industrialization in Kenya. That is industrial area.
Yes.
Look at the entire CBD. Look at places like Ngara. Look at Ziwani Karioko. Look at Gikomba Market. Look at Country Bus. Look at Mudhurwa Market. Look at Wakulima Market. These are the business centers that amplify economical gain of Nairobi County. And yet our kids, our women, our men are languishing in abject poverty. And this is because of segregation, or I might put it as isolation. The people of Starehe feel that the current leadership has isolated them, made them feel that they don't belong in Starehe, and totally neglected them, hence denying them their right. So I will create proper representation, bring up bills in parliament to ensure that my people are properly represented, make noise on behalf of the voiceless in the society in that parliament house, and make sure that their cries are heard. Number two, proper legislation. Starehe constituency is a business-oriented constituency. We have hawkers, we have mechanics, we have the market people, we have small-scale traders. All these people require very minimal support from the system. One, ensure that hawker has proper laws in which he can run his business. Two, ensure the hawker has proper security for him to engage. Small things. Three, ensure that you have programs to uplift or amplify their businesses through empowerment programs. So proper legislations that will govern both the residents, the way they live, how they relate, and also the business community. Number three, oversight. I'll ensure that I create proper oversight structures to oversee the projects we put across for development in Starehe. Ensure that we fight all the corruption cartels or any corrupt member of the administration who wants to bring down the economy or the growth of Starehe.
Mbogo, you've mentioned something very important, and I know the role of members of parliament is to specifically oversight. Oversight is very important. But when you talk about Starehe constituency, for example, it's based in Nairobi, obviously. So how do you intend to work, for example, with the legitimately elected county government of Nairobi in order to develop the city, for example, because the city is
within Starehe.
Yes.
Yes, very true. When you look at the current status of Starehe is not promising. I believe this through my research. I believe, one, it's been so because of lack of proper relationship between the county government and the constituency government, where there's a push and pull on who should do what and who should do what. I want to create a proper relationship. As I started by saying, I believe in life there cannot be any development program or no growth or development in an individual without proper relationship. So I ensure to have a proper relationship with the county government to ensure that what pertains Starehe constituency is left for Starehe. What pertains the county government remains to county government. Because the push and pull leaves the common mwananchi in Starehe languishing in abject poverty or neglected.
You see, like now you're in ODM party.
Yes.
I know that. And the current governor is in ODM. That is Dr. Evans Kidero.
Yes.
And Dr. Kidero has really been blamed for the neglect of the city. So how do you get that? Because you are in ODM,
I personally
yet you are
believe,
leader in
I
Nairobi.
personally believe, and that's why I told you,
Yes.
the problem is not the governor. The problem is the current MP. There's been too much push and pull between the county government and the Starehe constituency government. That's why I said, given an opportunity, the first thing I'll do is sit down with my governor, make sure that we come together, come up with legislations that will ensure my job is protected, his job is protected, my work is done at the right time, his work is done at the right time. And there's proper job description, because all these failures and mischiefs in Starehe is because of poor job description. Where there's a push and pull, you find that now it's an ODM Jubilee fight over the city and the Nairobi County, especially the CBD, which lies under my constituency.
How do you intend to cope with competition in Starehe, especially from Boniface Mwangi, who is also appealing to the same youth?
So far, on a personal level, I've not seen what my other opponents have done, specifically when you talk of the youth. I've not seen anything they've done for the youth, apart from maybe heckling in TV and, in the streets. I believe in solution orientation. I believe in actions and providing direction in the rightful manner. It's not what you say, but what you do. On a personal level, as Steve Mbogo under Steve Mbogo Foundation, I have a track record of what I have done for the youth of this country. And that's why I'm saying I deserve to be the next MP of Starehe constituency. I have stood with the youth, and I believe it's power, not only the youth, even the women and the old in the society. And I want to create a system where it's power for the people, with the people, and to the people.
So you are above other youth who are competing with
Very
you.
true, very true. And they all know that.
I read somewhere that you've interacted with the one-time presidential candidate of the United States, Ben Carson. Is it true?
Yeah, I've met him 2 times.
Yes.
And I want to say that it's through my hard work. Ben Carson once in life managed to read one of my articles through my social platform, and he engaged us through his office, then organized for an office. He met up with me, and he's also been able to support my foundation, which is Steve Mbogo Foundation. And I go back to my first statement where I said anyone can reach where they want to reach in life if you're determined to do so.
So he's an inspiration to you.
He's an inspiration, and right now he's a personal friend of mine and a mentor. Given a chance, he will come and visit. He invited me 2 times just to have an open talk, simply because he was personally following what I do, especially through my foundation.
As we're winding up the Saturday morning interview, Steve, what could be your special message to the constituents of Starehe and Nairobians in general?
Yeah, my urge for the people of Starehe constituency, as Steve Mbogo, I'll be vying for the ODM ticket nominations on the 25th. I kindly urge you to come vote for me, because I believe I'm the only person who understands and feel your problems, and I'm ready, sacrificing my life, my wealth, and even health to ensure that your problems are solved. I am ready to speak on the behalf of the voiceless in the society. I'm ready to go an extra mile to ensure that that child down there has the right education. I'm ready and willing and able to ensure that every person in Starehe constituency can access an insurance policy and get any health solution. I'm ready and willing to ensure that every person in Starehe constituency get well represented when it comes to job creation, bearing in mind the people of Starehe face unemployment and lack of empowerment. As Steve Mbogo, I ask for your support because I'm ready to stand with you.
Thank you very much, Steve Mbogo, for your time and participating on the Saturday morning interview on KBC English Service.
Thank you, Nditi.
And with that, we come to the end of the Saturday morning interview. Today, we focused on youth empowerment. We have shared with Steve Mbogo, a young entrepreneur and politician. He has a passion in youth empowerment, having come from a poor background. So, what do you think? How should Kenyan youth be empowered by county and national governments? You can still share your comments on our KBC English Service Facebook fan page. Till next week, my name is Geoffrey Onditi.